western part of Africa, in other words, West Africa, when Europeans started exploring this coast, somewhere in the early part of the 1400s, which was begun by Portuguese. So the time we started getting our independence, 1950s, 1960s, we had counted over 100 forts and castles and other European lodges along this coast. Interestingly, Ghana, with a coastline a little above 500 kilometers, is talking about half, or I would say 50, of these European fortifications. But at the moment, only 17 of them are still standing that we can visit. In West Africa, there are only 3 castles. And when I say castles, I am referring to the bigger one, just like this one. And all these 3 castles is found in Ghana. That is Christianborg Castle in Accra in Osu, used by the Danes, or the Danish, right? We have Cape Coast Castle by British, and Elmina Castle, where it's going to be our focal point, by Portuguese, 1482. Being the first Europeans, Portuguese were here for 2 major reasons: to trade and also to spread Christianity. And at the time, they said that they were so much interested in gold. So at the rate Portuguese traders were getting gold, made them to think or believe that gold mine is found on this coast. So they called this place the Mina, meaning the mine, where they mine gold. But the locals couldn't say this properly, hence it was corrupted. Elmina, now the name of this town. It is important to say that when Europeans have not set foot on this land, we have a name. But unfortunately, hardly you will come across this in the most of our languages. All that you hear is Elmina. But the name here is Mansama. Mansama simply saying inexhaustible supply of water. But like I said, hardly you hear this. Now, they were here 11 years, the Portuguese, before the foundation of this fortress began. And they made the people here to understand this was purely for commerce, for trade. But in the early part of the 1500s, after Europeans had got into the Caribbean and the Americas, the usage of this stretcher changed to that of slave trade. Portuguese were here for 155 years. 110 years was used for slave trade. At a point, all the neighboring towns and villages started accusing the natives of Elmina, at the time they were here, that they were the people giving Portuguese a safe haven to put up this very stretcher for the trade. So in their attempt to get rid of the Portuguese, they collaborated with the Dutch. At the time, Dutch were not in this business. So they were thinking that as they were coming in, slave trade would stop. But unfortunately, it moved to a different scale altogether. Dutch were also here for 235 years. In between Portuguese and Dutch, 325 years was used for slave trade. In 1807, due to industrial revolution in Europe, on humanitarian grounds, there is a lot of slave revolts on the plantation in Cuba, Haiti, Jamaica, and many places. So all these culminated for the British to abolish the trade. Dutch were compelled to do same 7 years later. But all this was just on paper. It went on for over 5 decades. So somewhere in the 1870s, transatlantic slave trade had ceased. This very fortress was no longer profitable for them. Dutch sold this to the British. The British were here for 85 years, and that was purely on administrative or for administrative purpose. Rather, they had used Cape Coast Castle for days. They were here till 1957 when we had our independence. And Dr. Nkrumah said this: when black man is given the chance, is capable of managing his own affairs. Due to this and other reasons, this compelled the British to leave the scene. They did, but you will agree with me that today they are still back in the same system, in a different form, different clothes altogether. But we are going to do a lot about slave trade and so forth. But the question people keep asking, how did all this begin? Let us know that Portuguese never got up one day and say, let's go into it. Something might have prompted it. In 1492, 10 years upon the completion of this castle, was when a man called Christopher Columbus. Now this man believed that if he could sail west, he would get to India. And some say in the process he got drifted, but I would like to use the word, he got lost and enters to the Caribbean of the Americas. So when these Europeans finally got in there, they had sugar plantations, cotton, and so forth. They had gold mines, so they were using the Native Americans to work. The story has it that diseases which they had introduced over there started wiping out the population. So it occurred to them that if we ought to remain in business, then we should find other means of getting laborers to replace these Indians. One of the Roman Catholic priests called Bartholomew de las Casas later became a bishop, came up with the idea, why don't we try the Africans? In 1510, about 50 Africans were sent from Lisbon, from Portugal, to a place then called Hispaniola. Now this place has not been shared between Haiti and Dominican Republic. Comparatively, they got to know that they could resist the disease much better than the Indians. So the idea came that more Africans ought to be sent over there. At the time in question, Portuguese were the only Europeans in the entire West Africa operating from here, in Elmina Castle. So under the blessing of the church, they were given that license to send people. I don't want to use the word slaves, because people living here were not slaves. They were enslaved before they were sent out. So they were moving around, capturing people along the coast. But with time, they got to know that there is no hope. So what they sought to do was to collaborate with the locals. And that is where the whole problem started. People had asked, were the Europeans capturing all these people, millions of people by themselves? The answer is no. Though they were doing some of the capturing, but they had their own collaborators. Now the point is this: one of the major factors that contributed to the Atlantic slave trade had to do with the African setup, seeing themselves in terms of tribes, kingdoms, this and so forth. So they were able to capitalize on these deficiencies, thereby setting us up, fighting among ourselves. The prisoners of war that they had became the commodity that they would sell that. But let me digress a little bit. You know what? Our decline from empires We have had Ghana Empire, Sangay, Mali Empire, and all these empires had collapsed. So for us to have declined from that empire to tribalism, that made us weak, divided our front prior to the coming of the Europeans. So that makes it a bit easier for them to manipulate the system. Because tribalism itself divides people. That unity among them is no longer there. The center cannot hold. So they will make one tribe feel more superior. Today it is happening. And then you will start dressing, looking, eating, whatever the way they are, and you look like them. And thereby, seeing your other fellow human being, your fellow African as inferior, you attack them, and that's how it continues. I have said this. One of the major reasons why everybody needs to say this is for us to see what happened in the past, so that we can know what is happening now, so that not much has changed. Even today, it is the more modernized form, so let me continue. I have a lot more to say, but don't be dragging so much. So, with over 500 years history of this castle, let us know that nearly 400 years of its history is talking about Atlantic slavery. And this is what we're going to see. So, we're going to do a little bit of walking and for us to have a feel how it's like. And due to the lengthy nature of the story, we've taken time of putting all these bits and pieces on the DVDs and the book and so forth. So I believe that you can get copies as a souvenir back home, so that together we keep the story going. It is we have to tell our history and not them doing it for us. Other than that, there's going to be more addition as they keep going. Maybe you're not going to use it, but you can give it to a friend to give it a friend, and then together we keep. So please, let's do that after the tour. I will let you know so that you can get a copy. So please, with your permission, let us. And then when you take a step down, you will be on a level floor. So like this, you are on just a step.
What are you thinking? Tell me what you're thinking.
Man, this is wow. Just really, you really can get emotional being when you think about what they went through and all that stuff. It's emotional, but then it gives you a sense of appreciation and pride for how far we've come as a race when we were basically almost wiped out. So this is a great feeling at the same time to kind of see history for yourself.
So this, I tried to explain that here's where the female captives came down, and we have to put those better for the iron bars. Because we are not using the reservoir in the, we have done this tunnel to get rid of water whenever it's raining. So as the female were going, they were coming down this way on the stairs, they were from this side. If possible, here is where brothers or sisters, they could see each other before they get to the ship. And here, you need to burn until you are through.
Yeah.
Let's see something from here. This will be the last room they had to pass before they get to the ship. But initially, that was the height of the entrance. That was the door. But when this trade began, it was reduced this way, saying that one person has to come in at a time. The whole idea is this, that if people are separated, they can easily be controlled. So one in at a time. And at this same thing here, what we have here is the door of no return, also a bit wider initially. It was narrowed this way. When people see this, they ask, what about if some of the captives were big? The point is this, by the end of 2-3 months, there was nothing
No way.
there was nothing like that. And all of weeks or months, they will be in the woods, 3 months in the dungeons, and all that happened. But again, the water was very much closer. Today it has receded, still moving backward due to human activity. So when they got down here on the stairs, boat picks them from here to the ship some distance away, and the journey across the Atlantic Ocean would then begin. They were already weak, and that explains why a lot of them died in the process. We have several records telling us the number of people who were involved, those who died, those who survived. But one of these figures seems saying that when you take every 3 captives, 2 died, 1 survived. When you say that within this period, some 20 million people made it to the other side. So if we are to go by this ratio, we are saying that 60 million were involved. And this number doesn't concern with the very castle, but the entire West Africa. People keep asking, wouldn't it have been better for them to have kept these captives in good conditions just to be sold for the profit? When you look through that, you get some possible reasons. They believe that if they had allowed the Africans to live as normal as possible, they will revolt. They will attack them. So let's get them weak. And out of this weakness, those who will be able to survive, they were the strongest. Survival. During the time of Portuguese, most of their captives were sent to Brazil, some part to the Caribbean and the Americas, that went to the Caribbean elsewhere, and British to North America, Jamaica, and so forth. Now, what we need to understand is that when it's come to Atlantic slavery, this was meant to feed the plantation and the mines European had established in the Caribbean and the Americas. And this is the longest history of slavery of mankind, spanning over 4 centuries. So, I'll give a minute or 2 for those who want to either take pictures or want